Giggles. Good evening and welcome to our virtual sixth form open evening. Not quite the event we'd anticipated, but we do extend a very warm welcome to you all. We're hoping that we've got plenty of students from our own Year 11s joining us, and a particularly warm welcome to this event if you are a student from one of our neighbouring schools who is considering joining us at sixth form. We think we've got, despite the restrictions of the evening being a virtual event, we think we've got a lot of useful information for you, both from this question and answer session, and I hope you will be accessing all the video clips that are on the other sections of the website. And don't forget that all subjects are running a live chat room as well. So the purpose of this evening is for you to post questions. I think we've got a number of questions queuing up already to be answered. I hope that this will be a really informative evening. Just before we start the questions, though, I do want to stress that for students who are considering joining us from other schools, I know from a couple of phone calls I've already taken, and I'm Lynn Munn, head of sixth form here, that there's quite a number of you that are a little bit concerned or would very much like to come and visit us in person. We are currently working on planning an event for external students so that you can come and meet us in person, have a little bit of a chat, get a bit more information about the school and have a tour of the school as well. It won't be quite the same as a full open evening, but we're hoping to give you that opportunity. Joining me tonight on my left is Mrs. Sally Harris, who will be head of Year 12 from September. She's currently head of Year 13, and many students will know Mr. Rob Ravenscroft, who is head of Year 11. So if any of our students have got any particular questions about GCSE preparation, anything relating to the remainder of the academic year, he's your man who's going to be answering questions there. So have we got any questions coming in? I've got my trusty colleagues. So yes, very good opening question. Lots of different courses available to me. Why should I take A-levels? Obviously, being a Year 11 student is quite a sort of an exciting time. You've got lots and lots of different options open to you. You can go to college, you can do all sorts of college vocational courses. You can come to our sixth form. There are other sixth forms in the area, and you can do A-level courses. What we offer at our school are traditional level 3 qualifications, and level 3 means A-levels. And what we're saying is that, and A-levels aren't for everybody, but what we do say is that if you are a student who is on target to get at least 5 GCSEs at grade 5 and above, you should seriously be considering A-levels. A-levels, you know, whether you do them here or at another institution, A-levels really are the gold standard qualification and are going to be a passport to so many careers career opportunities. A-levels certainly are what's needed if you're planning on going to university. A-levels are what expected for a whole number of career routes and career opportunities. A-levels are absolutely crucial if you want to be a doctor, a dentist, a nurse, a vet, a teacher, a lawyer, or go into sort of high-level business management. So that's what I would say, is that any student who is targeted, good, solid, 5 GCSE grade 5s and above, A-levels really ought to be something that you consider seriously. They are difficult, and that's one of the reasons why they are considered the gold standard of education. That's why they're so marketable. That's why they say so much about you. Any thoughts, Mr. Ravenscroft?
No, I'd echo that. We've got a number of sort of very high level students in current sixth form. We've got a number of high level students in our current year 11 who will be moving on to take A levels, and we recognise that A levels are not for everybody. But certainly, if you are thinking down a kind of academic career route, or a route, as Mrs. Munn said, going into any of the professions, then certainly A levels are the route that you should take. If you're not considering those kind of career opportunities, then by all means look at alternatives. But from an A level perspective, those are the kind of courses that you want to be taking for professional routes.
I think if you're interested in the subjects that you want to take, or you've decided on the subjects you want to take at A level as well, and you're interested in that particular subject and you want to explore that subject much more, wider reading around the subject, and actually the study periods that you get in while doing your A levels, they allow you to work independently to find a little bit more out about your subject areas.
Absolutely.
And develop your skills and your knowledge as you go through.
Thank you. Next question. Thank you, Jamie. Though we are certainly planning on interviewing everybody this year. We did things a little bit differently last year, but we are planning interviews. If you're one of our own Year 11 students, we will be interviewing you during one of your lessons. We will arrange an interview appointment during the school day. And if you're applying to us from another school, then we will send you a request to attend an interview for a time after school, usually sometime between 3:15 and 5 o'clock. They're not very long interviews. They're about 15 to 20 minutes long maximum. And, they're not to be seen as intimidating. But what we want to do is just have a chat with you, get a feel for the sort of student you are, but have a chat with you about the subjects that you want to take and why you want to take them, and any career plans that you may have, so we can sort of make sure that you're on the right programme of study, really. So I hope that's helped, Jamie. Right, as soon as we've interviewed you, we will send you, most likely, provided everything's okay and that there's no issues, we will send you what we call a conditional offer. And that means that we will send you the offer of a place provided you meet our entry criteria when GCSE results are published in August. Now, if things don't go quite according to plan, and sometimes they don't, you can come along. We register students for their A-level courses generally on GCSE results day in August, but we also have another day when we register students who aren't able to come along on that day. We register students at the start of September. And if you haven't quite made the entry criteria, you can we can have a chat to you about perhaps some alternative courses that we can offer you. What I do ask you to do is look at our online prospectus, where you'll find a list of all the A-level subjects that we offer, together with the entry criteria, the GCSE grades that we require. And basically, we've got general entry criteria, which means we expect everybody to achieve 5 GCSE grade 5s and above. But you'll also find there that some subjects have specific entry criteria. So if you want to do maths at A level, for example, you need at least a grade 6 in that subject. If you want to do psychology, which is a very popular subject here, and we do offer a range of A level subjects, then we want you to get at least 2 grade 5s in science and a grade 5 in maths, because psychology is a very science-based subject. If you want to do sociology, you don't need a GCSE grade 5 in maths, but you do need GCSE grade 5s in essay-based subjects. Average pass rates are very good. I think going back to the last time that we had traditional exams back in 2019, around about 97-98% pass rate, and last year 99% pass rate, or just over, I think. Yes. Yes, Laura. Yes, we are not running courses in design technology this year in terms of product design. The A-level course that we are offering, or the level 3 course that we're offering in technology this year, is health and social care. Is there a uniform? No, there isn't. We treat our A-level students very much as students, who would be at university or college. We have a dress code. We ask students to bear in mind that they are coming to school, they're in a working professional environment. So there are some restrictions, we don't want to see people in beach gear, nightclub gear and things like that. But broadly speaking, we're quite flexible. So there's a dress code, and I think details of that can be found in our prospectus.
What we do have as well, though, we do have lanyards, and we would expect students to wear their lanyards all the time.
For safeguarding.
We've got ours up here, yeah, and that's from a safeguarding point of view, so that we know who's on site, and we can make sure that everybody on site, staff and students alike, all have, particularly in sixth form and staff, have a lanyard.
Work experience. We are very much in favour of students embarking on some sort of work experience. Everyone, when they come into the sixth form, has an entitlement of 2 weeks or up to 2 weeks work experience. And what we find a lot of our students do, not everybody takes up that opportunity, but we very much promote it. It's been a little bit more challenging in these days of the pandemic and COVID times, as we call it. But hopefully things will be back to near normal, if not quite normal, from September this year. And what students traditionally do is perhaps do 1 week's work experience in year 12 in agreement with us at a time that is suitable to them and the work placement that they found, and perhaps a second week in year 13. It's absolutely crucial, is work experience, for certain career routes. If you want to be a teacher, for example, you are expected to have undertaken some work experience. If you want to be a doctor, a medic, a nurse, a dentist, a vet, again, absolutely crucial to have acquired some work experience. However, we've got all sorts of other opportunities in the sixth form as well. And I'm just going to hand over to Mrs. Sally Harris, who's going to talk about some of the other enrichment opportunities we have in the sixth form.
So in line with the work experience, another way in which you can get experience in a different environment in the community is through volunteering. And we're putting a great package of enrichment and getting all of that ready for the year 12s and the year 13s next year, where they will have timetabled a slot where they can carry out these enrichment activities, and you'll be expected to sort of sign up to an hour each week of enrichment time. Now, alongside the work experience, that could, for example, be volunteering, and at the moment we're liaising with some volunteers in Staffordshire and in Warwickshire to organise some volunteering for our students, starting already with some students year 12s that we have at the moment, and then obviously opening that up to year 12s, the new year 12s coming in from year 11. And there are lots of opportunities there, all different types of volunteering, whether it might be in a local primary school, whether it could be in a local business, a local charity shop. So there's other opportunities to work, in those enrichment periods in a volunteering role. We've also got lots of other opportunities in terms of enrichment. Some of you already might be doing the Duke of Edinburgh Award, and we will continue that into sixth form. We've already had some students, despite such a situation this year, go out on expeditions and achieve their bronze, and some of them working on their silver. We're still hoping to get some who will carry that through and get some gold award students going, which would be fantastic. And hopefully with the opening up of everything, and hopefully sort of things getting a little more back to normal next year, we can do a lot more of that. Now, alongside that, again, in terms of the things that we're putting in place, there is an EPQ qualification which students can do. This is again quite an academic qualification where students would produce a dissertation, sort of 5,000-word dissertation on a subject and where they research a subject. Quite often it's not to do with their courses, so it's not part of their courses. It might be an interest that you have. You choose the title, so you choose that, and then your supervisor would okay that, and you would continue that through year 12 and hope to finish it sort of at the end of year 12, start of year 13, to leave you time to then focus again, on your, continue focusing on your A levels. So there's lots of sort of opportunities there. So, I mean, alongside that, sport is another opportunity in these enrichment hours. There will be a number of different sporting activities that will be going on, and I would imagine students would be part of choosing the sporting activity that would take place. So you could get regular some teams going, and we also already have matches against teams from other local schools, football, for example, which gets quite competitive at times.
Certainly does.
So there's a lots going on in terms of enrichment and lots of opportunities.
And I think you'll agree, Mr. Ravenscroft, that our year 11s have really missed out on opportunities like this, haven't they?
Definitely. And I think, I mean, I'm hoping, and again, this depends very much on the situation with COVID over the coming weeks. I'm hoping to get an organisation called NCS into school.
Yes,
they operate a programme over the summer where you do a variety of things such as team building, charity work, outdoor pursuits type of sessions, which will be offered hopefully to our year 11s over this summer. But I also believe that rolls over to the summer between year 12 and 13 sometimes. It can also be something that
October half term, I think they can carry on that if they were away over the summer.
So that's something else that we can offer, and hopefully we'll do.
I think that stands, doesn't it? National Citizenship Service, isn't it?
Yes,
I know we've had quite a number of our sixth form students participate in those schemes before, and they really are brilliant. Because the thing about when you get to post 16, between the ages of 16 and 18, you're trying to build up a whole wide range of skills that are going to prepare you for employment. So employability skills, teamwork, leadership, taking on responsibility, demonstrating initiative, and things like that. So our current year 11s, I would thoroughly recommend you to try and embark on the NCS programme. Oh, our sixth form building. Perhaps this is someone who's not visited our school before. Or perhaps you are one of our year 11s and you've not been in it before. Many of our sixth formers are based principally for their non-lesson time, their non-contact time, over in the Victorian building in the school. If you drive past Polesworth School, it's the building that fronts the road. This is the building that is, for the exclusive use of sixth formers. By and large, we don't let non-sixth formers into it, which is something that our students really rather like. So in the sixth form, which is where we're sitting at the moment, we've got a large supervised study centre. We're really quite excited about the fact that we've got this lovely, big, quiet, supervised area, because that's what you're here for, to get brilliant qualifications. And we've got common room facilities, a few smaller teaching rooms over here, another study centre. We've got our student services offices at as you look at the sixth form and stand at the entrance at the left-hand end of the building. We've got the pastoral support offices, student welfare offices there. So yes, we've got our dedicated sixth form block. However, as far as lessons are concerned, students will be walking across the site. If you're a scientist, you'll be performing quite a trek over to your lessons, over to the far side of the school. If you're not a member of our school, and if you've not visited it before, we're quite a large school. We've got about 1,600 students from year 7 right up through to year 13, and we've got a lot of buildings. So you do get quite a lot of exercise walking around the site. Can be a bit intimidating to begin with. Students come along and think, I'll never find my way around, but they do very quickly. And we've got a lot of specialist rooms that students go to for their individual lessons. Thank you, Emma. Oh, right. I could talk for ages about this. The majority of our students at the end of year 13 do progress onto university, but it's not for everyone. So we've got loads of support in place for when our students apply to university, and it's a process that starts in year 12, doesn't it, Mrs. Harris? And I mean, even Mr. Ravenscroft might well be talking to year 11 students about thinking about the big picture and the long-term goal of going to university. So we're very lucky at the Polesworth School is that we have a full-time careers advisor, Chris Davis, who is in a chat room at the moment. If anyone's got any career specific questions, he's the man to go to, particularly if there's anybody here who is thinking already that, they know they want to be a doctor, a dentist or a vet, or they want to go to a top Russell Group university, or they're already aspiring to Oxford and Cambridge, because our students do go to all sorts of different universities. We sent a student off to Cambridge last year, and we have Oxbridge applicants each year. And if you've got any specific questions about the sorts of things you could be doing now to get ready for those applications, then post your questions to Mr. Chris Davis. He is their expert. So we've got him. And then you've got your team of tutors. All our students have a personal tutor who've got a lot of experience in supporting students with their applications. There's me, Mrs. Munn, head of sixth form. I've been in the role here for a long time and have built up a considerable experience and expertise in applications. Mrs. Harris knows a lot. And we also have a dedicated sixth form mentor, Mr. Paddy Barber, who has a particular remit to support students with their applications. So loads. We're really proud of the experience and expertise that we have in that application. And well done, because that's what we're looking for, is ambitious students, who want to achieve great things. And that's one of the things that makes me really proud as a head of sixth form, is hearing from our students and the great successes that they've achieved. In fact, only a couple of weeks before Christmas, I had a lovely email from one of our ex-students, William Miller. Don't know whether you remember him, Mr. Ravenscroft, actually, about sort of 4 or 5 years ago, went off to train as a dentist, and he sent me a lovely email to say that he just qualified as a dentist. And actually, he's supporting one of our current dental applicants for this year, which is brilliant. Nice question. Again, do you have to be on site all day just when we have lessons? One of the perks, one of the privileges, isn't it, Mrs. Harris, of being a sixth form student is you have study periods on your timetable. So I'm going to hand that one over to you, Mrs. Harris.
Well, you have study periods. So you would have, it's 20 over the 2 weeks, isn't it?
That's right. Periods. Yeah, for students who take 3 subjects, which is what the majority of our students do.
Yeah. Now, we do call them study periods for a reason, because they are there to go alongside your taught lessons. And they are needed because in order to get decent grades at A-level, you do need to put in the study alongside your normal lessons. You need to be going back over lessons, looking at work that you've done. You need to be revising. So those study periods, okay, they do take place obviously in your timetable. Now, if you have got a number of lessons and tute time, we'll come on to that in a second, and then you've got a couple of lessons in the afternoon when you're not in, then you don't have to be on site. Now, we've got provision for you to be on site. We've got a big study centre, as we said, which is supervised. So we would advise students, if you're not going home, to actually do some work, to stay on site and for the full day and actually complete your extra study. But that isn't compulsory for your study periods. However, we do expect you to be in tutor time each day, which is 10:30 to 10 to 11. So for that period of time, 10 to 5 to 11. So for that period of time, that is compulsory. You do need to be in. If, for example, it sounds rather complicated, it's not, students get used to this, but if you've got a lesson period 1 and then your timetable is such that you've got quite a few study periods that day and then more lessons, we would still expect you to be in tutor time and then go home to study afterwards if you wanted to. So you don't have to be on site all day, but you do have to be in all of your lessons, obviously, and you do have to be in tutor time. and make sure that you are in tutor time,
and your
for that.
teachers will also be monitoring whether or not you're meeting your homework demands and requirements. And so if some students don't seem to be fulfilling their obligations in terms of getting all the work done that they need for A-levels, we might review their study privileges. But basically, we want you to take responsibility for your own learning. Those are the sorts of skills that you need when you get out into the world of work.
And we do have a big canteen in school, so you can get a really lovely lunch here, and you can use that and, to get you any sort of things that you need at lunchtime.
Right. Again, another really good question. If you look at the prospectus carefully, I think it does say we have put in a proviso there. We have to run our sixth form on an economic basis. We have finite, limited resources. And I have to be honest with you that if we have very small number of applicants for a particular course, it may well be the case that we have to withdraw that subject from the curriculum. It's nothing that we do very readily, or, it's always a big decision that we always have to take with great regret. And it's not one that we take very often, but just occasionally it is the case that perhaps subjects for a particular reason or a year where there's been no or few applicants, we have to withdraw that. We do let you know as soon as possible, though. I'm afraid we are unable to offer computer programming. The courses that we offer relating to IT are digital media. And again, you can go onto the digital media chat room and ask a few more questions about that. It is an IT-based course, and it is not to be confused with media studies, which is slightly different. And we are offering a level 2, a more GCSE-based course, as a bit of enrichment, or for students who are looking to improve their computer literacy skills. We are offering this year a new course called Core IT. And again, there's some more details on the website and in the chat rooms about that. Computer programming and computer science, though, no, however, we don't offer that. We do have students, though, who do go on. Again, if you want to do computer programming or computer science at university, your two probably, really important subjects for that are physics and maths, actually. So although we don't offer computer programming as a discrete A-level, we do have students each year who progress on to doing computer science at university. As I say, we are hoping to arrange an event it'll be an evening event for parents and students. What I would suggest you do, Cody, is keep an eye in the next couple of weeks. We're thinking, provided, the government continues to ease restrictions, COVID restrictions, and, it's looking very optimistic on that front. Keep an eye on the website. We will be posting some information on there in the coming weeks. We're thinking probably about the first or second week back after March. Now, some of you might well be thinking, but your application date is, your application closing date is the Friday the 4th of March, which it is. But we are thinking in this case, particularly for students and parents who don't come to our school, that what we'll probably do is extend the deadline for applications and give you an opportunity to visit us. So my email address, I think, is quite clear in the prospectus somewhere, l.munn@thepulswithschool.com. So you can always email me for confirmation of a time when students can come up and have a look round. If you come and have a look around on that occasion, I would suggest that you put in an application to us. We will be having an induction day right at the end of July, in the week or so before we break up. At the moment, I think it's scheduled for Tuesday, the 14th of July. And that would give you another opportunity to come and do some taster lessons, actually, and some sample lessons, and, get a real flavour for what we offer, and sort of get a feel, of the place, and, get to meet the teachers, which I think is pretty important. Yes, again, these are some super questions that are coming in. The majority of our students take 3 A-level subjects, but we do have the facility, we do have capacity for some of our students to take 4 A-level subjects. You know, some of our students, you know, particularly gifted, particularly talented, or want to do maths and further maths as well. Further maths is always taken as a 4th subject. And we have capacity for students to do that. And every year, a very small, but it is a very small number of students do take 4 A-levels, and we're all for encouraging that. But one of the things that I would say, and that our students find very quickly, is that A-levels are very challenging. And 3 is the standard number, both with us and at most institutions. And 3 good A-levels is what universities want. And what you have to think about is, if I took 4 A-level subjects as opposed to 3, would that weaken my results potentially? Now, for some of our students, it doesn't. We have students who get 4 A's, or, you know, I think last year 3 A stars and an A. We had some top performing students, and that's fine if you're going to get 4 A's, or, as I say, 2 A stars and 2 A's, that's great. But what we wouldn't want to happen is if you did 3 A-level subjects and would come out with, say, 2 A's and a B, but if you did 4 A-level subjects, you came out with 2 B's and 2 C's. You know, what you're doing when you embark on A-level courses is trying to maximise your potential, get the best qualifications that you can.
And also there's the enrichment. So as I talked about a little bit earlier, but if you've just joined the EPQ, the extended project qualification, which is the equivalent of half an A-level as well. So that's quite, you know, academic. So you could always do that as part of your enrichment, and there's core maths and the IT qualification. So there are other things that you could do as well.
That's really good. I mean, the EPQ stands for the Extended Project Qualification, and it's a real demonstration of a student's ability to learn independently, and it's a qualification that is very, very much valued by universities, particularly the top-notch Russell Group universities, as a demonstration of a student's independent study skills. Thank you for the question, Rebecca. We start interviewing people. In fact, we've already had some applications. I think we've already had about 20 applications already. Our application system, by the way, is only just opened just after we came back from the Christmas holidays. We are we've got a new online electronic application system in progress this year. So our interviews are going to start in the next couple of weeks. And basically, as soon as you've had your interview, we will be contacting you on a sort of rolling basis to tell you whether or not you've got a place and what the conditions of that place are. To be honest, the vast majority of students who apply receive the offer of a place, and then we confirm those offers of places on GCSE results day in August, once students have found out how well they've done at GCSE. Yeah, we are asking you to supply us with your predicted grades, just so that we can, just sort of make sure and look at whether or not you're sort of making good selections of your course choices. We accept that predicted grades may be based on mock exams. I think, would it be true to say, Mr. Ravenscroft, that perhaps sometimes students in year 11 are not entirely thrilled by the grades that they have achieved? And I've already received a couple of inquiries from some parents and students saying, well, they had COVID, and you know, that awful, you know, COVID has been a terrible nightmare, hasn't it? And they've had COVID in the build up to mock exams. We will take that into consideration. So give us your predicted grades, but then, you know, we're going to trust you to, you know, be motivated to do your absolute best, which I know you will in the build up to the actual exams.
And also you mentioned predicted grades. Make sure that they are your predicted grades rather than your target grades that are being given. So they're the grades that your teachers are predicting at the moment.
Mr. Ravenscroft, what advice would you give to students as to how they can get their predicted grades?
Well, for Polesworth students, you should already have a copy of a report from the first data series
October,
from
wasn't it,
October,
that? Yeah,
and you can find that on My Child. So if you go onto My Child, your report should be there, and you'll have predicted grades on that.
Sometimes referred to as the end of course
end
grades,
of course
aren't they?
grade. Yeah, there's another report due out in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah.
So that will potentially have updated end of course grades. Don't go on your October report if your new one is available when you put your application in, because there may be updated end of course grades, which in a lot of cases will potentially have gone up because more time's passed.
We hope.
You hope, yeah.
Revising.
You'll have taken perhaps note of what your predicted grades were in October, and perhaps put in that little bit of extra work, and got better grades. So make sure you use the most up-to-date end of course grades to put onto your application. If you can't access My Child for whatever reason, then you can always contact school and we can sort out your your account. Failing that, speak to individual teachers. They'll be able to check what your predicted grades are. Or also, see myself or Miss Dishington, and we can check that out for you as well.
Yeah, and there's certainly some students have already, in my teaching group, started asking me, because we've entered information onto our tracker now, and so I've got updated information. So a lot of you have come direct to me for that information. So your members of staff should be able to give that to you as well quite easily now.
If any of you think there are any particularly special circumstances that have perhaps affected your predicted grades or mock results or anything like that, then again, you can email me or give me a phone call, and I'm more than happy to discuss those with you.
Yeah, and I think similar advice will apply to anybody from other schools as well. You will have probably had reports by now, and if you haven't, then your teachers will be able to give you a predicted grade, because as part of the data that schools gather, those grades will exist. So you should be able to get those grades fairly easily from your teachers in your own schools.
Thank you. We don't. No, we offer English literature. We're quite traditional here, and that's the one that most universities want. Okay. PE options, PE A-level. In turn, I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that, Jack. PE options in terms of it's a traditional A-level PE course. If you wanted to discuss with PE staff exactly what you look at, what areas of PE, I'm an English teacher, classics teacher. I know a little bit about the PE syllabus. I know you do sports psychology and things like that, but I would suggest go onto the PE chat room and pose those questions to Mr. Hockridge. Yes, you definitely can. And you raise a good question there that I certainly think is well worth going through. We are asking students to make their course choices quite early on, and we are our aim is always to be as flexible as possible, Erin. So right from the moment you enter the subjects that you want to study on your online application, if you change your mind in the coming weeks, in the coming months, and it happens, we aim to be as flexible as possible, and trust me, quite a lot of students do change their mind after they've first made their decisions. You might choose one subject, and as you get closer to the exams, you might actually think, do you know what, I don't like this subject so much anymore. You might take the exams, you might do your GCSE exams and think, ooh, that went really badly. You might come to our induction day. One of the benefits of our induction day is that we do these taster lessons, and particularly, one of the great things, one of the exciting things we think about, and I'm biased, I know, but one of the exciting things about our sixth form is that we've got, 26, 27, 28 subjects, and loads of subjects that you've never studied before. And it might be that you've chosen a brand new subject and you think, oh, that's going to be great. And you might do the induction taster day lesson and think, no, actually, I don't think it's for me. And again, we allow you to change your mind about that. And again, on results day, again, you might have thought, oh, I've done better in that subject and not as well in that subject. Yeah, and then once they start, Mrs. Harris, first few weeks in, we're flexible again, aren't we?
Yeah, we've got about 4 4 weeks in which, once you've started your courses, if you decide that it's not for you, we've got a 4-week kind of
window,
where you can just clarify and confirm those courses. We don't usually have many students who end up taking a different course, but again, we're flexible up to that 4 weeks. After that, it becomes more difficult because obviously you're missing the content of the new course that you are potentially taking. So we allow you that sort of period of time, and then in the new course you'll be able to catch up at that point.
Yeah, I mean, our main aim is to get students on the courses that are absolutely right for them, in which they're going to be successful. School trips are one of the things that tragically have suffered during the pandemic. Normally we do. So, for example, in theatre studies, drama, you are expected to attend theatre productions. Travel and tourism, you have to go on trips and visit tourist attractions to see how they market themselves, how they, make money, basically, how they make themselves attractive to customers and clients. So that's quite exciting. The history department traditionally runs trips as geography fieldwork trips. And I think, you run science trips as well, don't you? Visits to universities and things.
Yeah, there's been revision conferences that run in the past, and trips to, as Mrs. Munn said, universities are looking at, a university physics department, for example, and just seeing what
really
they
important.
offer that enriches the physics A-level teaching.
And the same in English in terms of the text that we study. We've taken a number of trips out to Stratford, to Hamlet and various different productions.
Yeah, we've had classical civilization trips to Rome and Sorrento and things like that.
So
we do, and we're hoping
crossed
to get those going back up and running again. Again, a really, really good question. We are very mindful of the fact that if you come to us from another school, that's a big step to take, isn't it, Mrs. Harris? So first of all, we encourage you to come up to induction day in July, and we will look after you then and make sure that you have a sort of guided tour of the school around you. We make efforts to ensure that people are buddied up in their tutor groups with our students and perhaps students who've come to us from the school that you've attended, so that you don't get lost. And we have, again, something I'm very proud of. We have a really strong pastoral supportive system. A key member of staff that I really need to talk to you about is Mrs. Becky Knight, who is our Key Stage 5 Student Support Manager. She is a non-teaching member of staff, full-time, and she has a particular responsibility for student welfare, and whether it's a minor concern or a major concern, she is there to look after students and to make sure that they are settling in. And she particularly has transition interviews with students who are new to the school to make sure that they are settling in. So we think we've got have got lots of experience in welcoming new students who bring an awful lot to our school. We really value the contribution that external students make, and by and large we find that they settle in really, really quickly. Again, it is tough. I mean, again, as an external student, we want you to come in, wanting to make friends and wanting to be absorbed. But we've had external students who've really played a leading role in the school, taking leading roles in school productions and things like that. So yes, we are very mindful of the fact that it's a big step that you're taking in moving to us. So we make a particular effort to look after you.
Yeah, and our students are very friendly and moving on. I mean, they're also moving on to a different stage, and they welcome, having lots of different people, coming in, and external students coming in who they can sort of welcome in as well.
Yes, again, a lot of support. We have a new inclusion manager, Mr. Paul Roston, and again in sixth form we work very closely with him and our inclusion department to make sure that students who have particular needs are supported. So again, a lot of support there.
Yeah, we could see you individually, and if you came up, it was an external student, Mr. Roston would be there, and you could have a chat with him in terms of particular needs if there were any, and we would put things in place accordingly.
Jamie, put down your end of course predicted grade, what you're expected to get by the time you get there. We've got plenty of places. Again, a really good question. We've got plenty of places for everybody. Yes, obviously we expect our year 11 students, we wouldn't turn you down provided you get our GCSE entry requirements. That's the key thing. Not so much do we give our year 11 students priority placing. We have never ever had to, in my knowledge, and I've been here a long time, we have never had to turn a student away because we haven't got a place for them. It's never happened. The key thing, whether you're one of our students or a student who's new to the school, is have you met our GCSE entry criteria? And that might sound tough, but as I've already said, A-level courses are level 3 courses. They're difficult, they're challenging, they're tough, and you do have to have that firm foundation of GCSE prior learning in order to make a successful academic transition to A-levels. So it's, do you meet the entry criteria? You're in. Police force. Well, again, something that you've got to look into. But the police, like many professions, they do welcome students with A levels. Now, we don't offer public services here. I am aware of the course, and again, colleges will tell you that he sort of it gives you a good insight into the public services like the police. But I would go onto the police careers website, or I would go into the chat room with Mr. Chris Davis, our careers coordinator, and ask him this question as well. But if you go onto the police careers website, you'll probably find that they do particularly value applicants with A levels. The other thing that you have to bear in mind, it's always good to have a backup plan. What if you apply to the police and don't get accepted, or what if you change your mind about working in the police force? Because students do change their minds. There's still plenty of time to make your decisions about career routes. A levels gives you alternative plans. It gives you backup. So
I think what I would add to that as well, in terms of the A levels that we do offer, things like sociology and psychology would be good for the police force, and law and the forensics and criminology science course. And health and social care potentially as well that we're offering. Those are all useful A levels to get you into anything that is a public service.
And we have had a number of students who have successfully gone on to enter careers in the police force as well.
And it might be that you end up going in at a slightly higher level if you've got a good number of A levels.
Go onto the careers chat site as well and pose that question too. So a lot of that people do. Again, if yes, we look at all the applicants and make a decision as to how many classes we need, and we endeavour not to turn students away. It's most important, I would say though, make sure you get your application in by the deadline. Now, I've just talked, if you've been listening to this online Q&A for a time, I've said for external applicants particularly, because we are trying to arrange an event after February half term to give you an opportunity to come and visit the school and meet us in person. We potentially are going to be extending the deadline for applications from external students. Haven't quite decided whether we're going to do that for our own internal students yet. But whatever the deadlines, they will be clearly posted, the final deadlines on the website. Provided you get your application in by the deadline, then again, we are not going to turn you away from subjects. We do continue. I mean, again, we are well aware of the fact that you've got a lot of choices out there, though you've got a lot of options in front of you, and students do change their minds about what they want to do and where they want to go. So we do continue to accept applications from students after the deadline. We will take applications from students, in June and July, and very often on GCSE results day, we will get some students turning up and say, well, I didn't apply to you, but have you got any vacancies left? And we will look seriously at those applicants. But that is when, if you apply after the deadline or are a late applicant, we might say to you, that subject is closed. Some of our most popular courses here are psychology, biology, and incredibly popular.
Yeah.
I seem to think that for a couple of late applicants last year, we had to say psychology was closed. In previous years, we've put people on a waiting list to see if any places crop up, because again, we make an offer of a place to you once you've applied to us, and some students don't meet our entry requirements. So some places on particular courses like psychology or like biology do become available because students haven't met the entry requirements. So I hope that's answered that question. Well, yes, I mean the top universities, Oxford, Cambridge, it's very competitive, and Russell Group universities. And if you don't know what I mean by Russell Group universities, there's a group of 24 universities that regard themselves, they're not necessarily are, but they regard themselves as the top 24 universities in the country, the top 24 research universities, and they're very competitive. So sometimes, you can give yourself a bit of an edge if you are a high-flying student who's going to get 4 really good grades. There's no point in getting 4 grade Ds or 4 grade Es, but if you're going to get 4 As or whatever, and you're going to apply for Oxford or Cambridge, then you're going to give yourself a bit of a head start there. Yes, the qualifications that we offer are BTEC and qualifications and Cambridge technical qualifications in health and social care, for example, are the equivalent. They are level 3 courses. The only course that we are running that is not a level 3 course is the core IT. That's level 2, which is just to add to your IT skills. We do offer resit English and Maths GCSEs as well for students who've perhaps not hit a grade 5 or want to sort of boost their attainment in these subjects. Again, we give priority to students who have applied within the application window, applied before the sort of March deadline. We can accommodate up to about sort of 200 or so in any year group. We've got about, what have we got in year 12 at the moment? About 150, something like that. Yeah. So again, we've never had to turn students away.
No, and I think in terms of the first come, first served, it's no, you get your application in on time. It's not at that point first come, first served. You get your application in, providing it's in on time, you should be okay. But again, as Mrs. Munn, I don't know if you remember what Mrs. Munn was saying, but in terms of courses, they will fill up, and those that come after the deadline or later, they might not be able to get places on the courses they want at that point. So that's why it's important to get your application in on time if you can.
How do you apply? Right, if you go to our website, the main school website, and click on the link for applications there, we've got this new streamline. We're quite excited about this new online application system that we have subscribed to this year. It's a sort of one-stop shop for applications. So you apply, it's quite easy, it's quite straightforward. I've had a look through it myself and it all seems quite straightforward. And once you're registered on this system, that is the system that will send you invitations as to when to attend interview. It will also have a facility on there for requesting changes of subject. It's where we will invite you to our induction day. We will send you electronic communications. I think it's got a lot. So yeah, we've got an electronic application form to be filled in, and you just log on to it from the main school website. School hours, we start at 8:30 in the morning and we finish at 20 to 3 in the afternoon. We've got the structure of our day is 2 lessons in the morning, starting at 8:30. All our lessons are an hour. Mrs. Harris has just alluded to our tutor period, which is our main registration period of the day, which is at 10:30 until 10 to 11. Another 2 lessons Another one lesson, half an hour's lunch, and then 2 lessons for year 13s and year 12s in the afternoon. We've just sort of gone on to a staggered lunch time, which is why I slipped up there, quite honestly. Okay. Yes, we've had a couple of people making those inquiries. We do give our students, our sixth form students, the privilege of taking some of their study time at home if they wish. We do expect them to be using that time for study time, as Mrs. Harris has said.
Yeah, I mean, we've changed things a little bit this year. So we've got a dedicated study centre now, which we're in now. There are computers all the way around, so students can log on. They also have access in other study rooms where they can bring their own sort of tech in, if you like, and plug in and do their work then. This study centre is supervised, so students work very quietly. There's no eating or drinking in here, so it's a proper study area,
like university. Yeah.
Now, if they're wanting to do some study in a group with some others, we have 2 or 3 other study areas that they can use where it's a little bit more chatty. And then we have a common area for them, a common room, where some of them still decide that they're going to study in there, but it's a bit more relaxed and they can eat their lunch and drink, and have the drinks, water and whatever in there. So there is quite a lot of many different rooms in order to be able to study properly when you're not in those studies. And we have our main school library as well.
Yeah, thank you, Finn. Is English Lit popular? Well, I would say it is. We're English teachers ourselves. So yes, it is a popular subject. And again, it's one of those that is a very well regarded subject because it gives you a lot of core skills there. So yeah, popular subject indeed. Intervention and support. Yeah, there is. We have a bespoke intervention tutor, if you like, support mentor tutor in Mr. Paddy Barber. And you will find that all subject teachers, all departments, when they look at assessments, they look at students who perhaps aren't performing at their target grade or expected grades, and they will put interventions in place. We're very busy at the moment, obviously, with year 13s and year 11s, of course, Mr. Ravenscroft, aren't we? With making sure that all our students are putting in the preparation that they need for their A-level exams. And there's quite a lot of intervention groups. You've been running a revision class for English students tonight after school.
Yeah, we've got a number of revision.
You have a lot of intervention classes going on in science, and I know the maths department does as well.
We have some Key Stage 5 coordinators in the main subjects as well. So they obviously, they quite often put in a lot of intervention for students in that subject area. And we also, within the sixth form team, we all of us mentor some students who need it. It might be all the way through the couple of years, or it might be just at specific times when those students need a little more intervention.
But you have lots of drop-in sessions in science.
We do. In science, it tends to operate on a drop-in basis, so people will be available. And across the department, there's a lot of science teachers. So at some point during a week, on every night, pretty much, there will be drop-in sessions operating in one of the subjects or multiple subjects.
And I think that most subjects operate along those lines.
They do, and I think a lot of subjects also have their own strategies for supporting students and intervening. Things like intervention contracts and that sort of thing, where you're set little extra tasks and they're monitored, and it just allows us to check whether the intervention that we're doing is working and it's actually helping you out.
We also have our academic conversations where twice a year we have our students have during their lessons a sort of specific slot on a one-to-one with their member of staff. And in that, they look together at how the student is getting on and feedback to the student. It might be that they set a target for that student. So that is set together and reported back. So as head of year, we can see the information and see any students that might be struggling in a particular area. Just before that, we have the students reflect and have a reflection time, so they complete some work, looking back at their own work, seeing how they think they're getting on. And then we sort of have the cycle again, to again reflect on the previous conversations and see how they're going a little later in the year.
Most popular courses, well, science and maths are incredibly popular on the science subjects. Biology in particular, I think it would be fair to say that biology is the most popular of the sciences.
Definitely.
So if you take biology, you're likely to be in a class of 25, 26, something like that.
Psychology is a popular one as well.
Psychology. We've got 3 groups this year in psychology. So popular is it, and it is. And we've got about 20 students in each of those. Sociology has a couple of classes.
English,
English has got a couple of classes, and history has got 2 classes. So, those are most popular classes. But again, we run a lot of subjects with much smaller numbers. Normally, sort of 8 to 10 students is a viable course. So you will find, in politics, I think there's about 8 to 10 students there. Slightly more. Art has got about 8 to 9 students in it.
It sort of depends on the year and what subjects you apply.
Exactly. Not quite sure what you mean by that, Demi. The lowest APS that you are
average point
score.
So in terms of that, I think it links to our qualifications for your applications. So it's the 5 GCSEs, level 5. Or above, but do look when you look at the specific subject areas, look at our prospectus online as well, because as we were saying before, our specific subjects have their own specific grades in some cases that you need to have a look at alongside the general requirements, just to make sure that you've got the basis that is needed in order to take those subjects and progress successfully at those subjects in those subjects.
How can you prepare for A-levels? Well, get your GCSEs done first. But, of course, students, once you've taken your GCSEs this year, you are going to have this long, extended break from study. And I think one of the ways in which we would like students to be ambitious and to prepare for their A-levels is to start doing some wider reading. And that's why we have an induction day in July, because we actually give you some direction as to what things you can be doing on induction day. I know it might sound a little bit harsh, but we've already tried to convey to you the fact that A-levels are tough, they're challenging, they're very satisfying, they're very rewarding, because I think actually you get your reward, you get your sort of payback from taking on something that's difficult. And, you might hit problems from time to time in the journey, but from your reward comes from being successful. So one of the things that we do on induction day is we set you a little bit of what we call transition work to sort of keep you going, to keep your brain ticking over, so that we're ready to hit the ground running in September. So we will be posting information about, and indeed some of the subject information on the individual subject areas might give you a few pointers as to what you can be doing. But again, a bit of wider reading, bit of looking in advance at the sorts of things that the A-level subjects cover, and doing a bit of transition work. Once you've done your GCSEs and had a well-deserved break after that as well.
I think the other thing that you could do as well, and we're talking about you've got a fairly long period of time there between the end of your exams and starting back to do A-levels. We've already said that work experience is something that we promote heavily. NCS, things like that. If you can get any work experience over the summer, in a sort of a field that is sort of matches your A-levels, or if you've got an idea of a career that you want to go into or a degree that you want to pursue at university, if you can get some work experience in that, it gives you a bit of context to the A-levels that you're going to be studying. We do have students who actually stay on site and get a lot of good study done at the end of the day. So our study centre is open till about 4:30, 5 o'clock. So yes, and open from 7:30 in the morning as well. And we do have students arriving that early and staying quite late, particularly in the run up to exams.
Loads of clubs, and opportunities for doing things. So yes, there's PE, sports clubs, there's chess clubs, there's the drama activities. Not so much sort of clubs, but sort of things to get involved in terms of volunteering, being student ambassadors, and that sort of thing.
I think when I talked earlier about the volunteering that we're hoping to liaise with, well, we are liaising with some outside agencies who will help our students to do some volunteering for their enrichment choices. But we also have a lot of volunteering that we do in school. So we have Year 12 and Year 13 ambassadors who they apply for that position, where they can then go and they can volunteer and work with specific departments, but also where they can volunteer. And for example, our Year 13 ambassadors are working and mentoring some of our Year 11 students at the moment. Yeah, so, as well as clubs, there's also volunteering with clubs that go on lower down the school. So if there are PE clubs that lower down the school and you've got a particular, football or rugby or netball or whatever it might be, dance experience, then you would be very welcome to sort of volunteer and help out with those clubs with the younger students and support the PE staff in that.
As a school, students can bring their phones with them, and that includes A-level students as well. We don't expect students to be on their phones during lesson time. We do get a bit hot under the collar about that sort of thing. And yes, you can leave the school campus, you can leave the site when you have non-contact periods. We do expect you to sign out though and sign back in again.
We do expect you that we have a tutor period, which is counted as a lesson period, which is after the first two lessons, 10:30 to about 10 to 5 to 11. And we do expect you, that is a taught lesson, and that is not a sort of non-contact, and that's a sort of non-negotiable. That's, tute time where you do need to be in tutor time.
NCS, I think that's brilliant that you've already signed up for NCS. How will it help your future? Well, the thing about NCS and other sort of programs like that and engaging with our, what will be our enrichment program, is that you are developing the sorts of skills that employers like. It's developing what are sometimes referred to as softer skills, sometimes leadership skills, organisational skills, team working skills, working with other people, talking to other people in an appropriate way. It really is brilliant. And, when you apply to university, if that's what you intend doing, or apply for a job, it's really brilliant evidence to put down on your application or your CV. So well done.
Yeah.
Well, I think that brings to an end, actually, our Q&A session. I must say I've enjoyed answering those questions. There's been some brilliant questions there. If you haven't had the opportunity to pose your question and there's something that still hasn't been answered, then please do email me. My email address is in the prospectus, or it's on the school website. And we look forward to seeing you and welcoming you into our sixth form in September. And thank you, Mr. Ravenscroft, for joining me. Thank you, Mrs. Harris.
Thank you. We'll look
Take
forward
care.
to seeing you.
Good luck with your GCSEs.
Bye-bye.
Bye.